Welcome back to Science and Innovation Day. I hope you enjoyed your break. We will now move on to our next keynote speaker. And well, it all started as a lab and as an idea a few years ago. But from a lab, it is now the world's first commercial scale and chemical recycling plant. Renewcell is a fast-growing Swedish sustaintech company with a unique textile recycling technology and a mission to change the fashion industry for the better. And it started in 2012, but today Renewcell is on the way to change a global industry and just about to open their second industrial plant here in Sundsvall. And I just want to say a big welcome to Tahani Kaldéus, Head of Research and Development and Innovation at Renewcell. And the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you for that nice introduction, and thank you for having me here. I'm looking forward to this session we have today. I'll start with a small introduction to what we do at Renewcell and why we do it. But then we will be focusing in on a Q&A session, and I hope that all the participants have a lot of questions to me. So we could start the slideshow, please. And next slide, please. Thank you. So fashion is something that all of us are quite familiar with. We use clothes every day. It's a part of our day-to-day life. It's a way for us to express the way we are, how it's related to our identity, and it's a way of making a statement. But the fashion industry is everything but sustainable. And let me give you some examples of that. For example, huge areas of land and amounts of water are used every day to, in order to produce cotton, there requires a lot of land and a lot of water. And this is land and water that could be used for something else instead. For example, 10,000 liters of water is used to produce cotton that we can make a pair of jeans out of. And that is not really sustainable. Looking at microplastics, for example, in the ocean, we see that about 35% of all the microplastics in the ocean is originating from washing clothes that contains synthetic fibers. So, but what I see as a more disturbing fact is that we throw away too much waste in terms of textile waste. We produce about 130 million tons of new clothes every day, but we throw away nearly as much. 90 million tons of textile waste is thrown away every year. And that is maybe a big number to grasp, but to make it a bit more understandable, in Sweden, we throw away about 8 kilos of clothes per person in a year. And we buy 15 kilos of new clothes every year. So looking at it, it may be a part of our day-to-day life, but it is not sustainable. And we need to make the fashion industry more sustainable. And we need to make it more circular and stop being a linear industry as it is today. And this is where we at Renewcell come in, because we would like to tackle this circularity issue in taking care of textile waste. So what the idea behind our company is that we take this textile waste and we turn it into a biodegradable textile pulp that can be used to make new clothes out of. So if we could change to the next slide, please. So what is it that we actually do and how do we do it? As mentioned before, Renewcell started nearly 10 years ago by two professors at KTH, the Royal Institute of Technology in Stockholm. And as many times before, when you're working on something to try to solve a different problem, you realize that you actually also you're also actually solving something completely different. And this is actually what happened here. The two professors were looking at cellulose and how it could be used or degraded to work as bioethanol, but realized after discussing that it actually could also be used to recover or recycle cotton-based textile waste. So that's how it all started. And what we see here on display is a very brief outline of our process. As I said, we take care of textile waste. We turn it into a pulp that has undergone both chemical and mechanical treatment. We then dry this pulp and bale it and turn it into sheets that we could sell to, for example, viscose plants. You may think, or you may maybe notice that it looks and maybe it looks like very similar to the pulp and paper industry in terms of some of the process steps that we have. But what is a major difference is that, first of all, of course, we're not using wood as a raw material. Everything we use is 100% textile waste, and we do not add wood at all. But some of the process steps are similar, but the way that we have handled it is that we have taken well-known knowledge within the pulp and paper industry and on how to refine and use cotton or cellulose, but we use it instead in a different process strategy to fit our need and to fit the raw material that we're working with. So we have a lot of similarities, but there's also a lot of different steps and also a completely different process strategy. So that's a very brief introduction to our process, and I hope that we now can turn to the Q&A session, and I'm really looking forward to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tahani, and thank you for that introduction. And to the audience, please, continue posting your questions and comments. But first of all, Tahani, what is so unique about this process?
Well, it's actually the very first time that we've been able to recycle textile waste in a chemical way and produce 100% recycled textile pulp. As I mentioned before, there is only textile pulp in our product. And what's great about this product is that we could use it also as a drop-in product in conventional viscose plants today. And the product and the fibers that are made from our product that we call Circulose is equally as good or even better in terms of fiber quality and strength. And that is very unique.
Thank you. But why hasn't anyone done this before? Why has it taken this long?
Well, I mean, we started 10 years ago, and there are a lot of different players working within the fashion industry or trying to recycle textile waste. We're definitely not the only one. And I mean, that's great because, as I said, we have 90 million tons of textile waste to take care of. But I think the key success factor here is that you need to look at or work at large scale. Many are working in lab scale, I mean, which is of course great, and you need to do it in order to prove your concept or the idea and to make sure that it's possible. But we truly believe that believe that for really making a true impact, you need to work at commercial scale. We have to have ideas and a mindset that build on solutions that we could scale fast. And looking at our process and the idea behind our process, we have both the knowledge and the machinery to scale fast and to meet the requirements needed to make an impact. And I would say that the combination for the success within Renewcell is a combination of both having a well-built process that is innovative. We have a great team working within Renewcell, and of course, financing. You need financing to grow big.
Yeah, because that's my next question. Scaling is always, quite a tricky part. You can have a great idea, great research and everything, but just, the scaling, it's difficult. But what are the biggest, scaling challenges for you right now?
Maybe not for us right now, but I would say one of the biggest challenge in general regarding scaling is of course money. As I mentioned, you need investments, you need a good solid financing. But I think also in terms of making an impact, or the challenge with creating a circular process, or wanting to transform something linear into a circular process, is that circularity needs to be equally as important, of course, to tackle the circularity issue. And also it needs to impregnate the whole company, because you cannot only build on having a circular process or a circular product that will solve something else within the greater fashion industry, but also within the company. It's very important that we work in a circular way, both in terms of how we work with our technology, the infrastructure, how we build the knowledge within the company. And I think that is equally as important as having, of course, the financing to be able to grow.
Thank you. Let's bring the audience to the table as well, welcoming her. Do we have any questions from the audience so far?
Yeah, we have a lot of questions from the audience.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Good.
Some of the questions concern this raw material. I can just read some of them and you can try to describe what you think. Have you tested spinning direct without go to viscose? And where do the textile waste come from? Can you describe a little bit about your raw material?
So let's start with that first question. If we have tested spinning, so what we do is our product is dissolving pulp, and we sell it as a pulp in order to make viscose fibers or even lyocell fibers. But we are not focusing on making fibers ourselves, and we leave that to our customers instead. So we're not spinning directly and making the fibers ourselves. We do the dissolving pulp that can be used to spin fibers. And sorry, the second question
another question is it only cotton that you're using, or is it also other materials in the process?
Our process is built on cellulose processing, which is cotton in our case. That means that it needs to be cotton rich. We are able to take on some impurities in terms of synthetic fibers. And in our new plant in Ortviken, Sundsvall, we will be able to take on a higher grade of impurities, but still it needs to be a cotton-rich raw material for our process to work.
Okay. And then a few questions regarding the process, also regarding energy consumption and water. What is the energy consumption in the process, greater or less than doing it from scratch? What is waste products do you produce?
In terms of energy consumption, I don't really know what they mean by scratch, but compared to a traditional wood-based pulp, dissolving pulp plant, we are not, we do not use more energy, definitely not, because we do not really have the same process steps. We do not need to debark the logs or other types of process that we need to do. But I would say that we are quite low in energy consumption, and we of course working both with improving and optimizing our process, both in terms of energy and water. And the other question was about
the amount of water also. The amount of water used in your process compared to other virgin cotton production.
As I said, it is equal or even better, because we work a lot on optimizing our process, and we recirculate the water and try to use as little water as possible in our systems. Yes, and I think the second question was about
waste products from your process.
More or less nothing, I would say, because currently we are more taking in nearly 100% cotton, so and everything is used in our system. So we have very little waste products. That is, we don't really have any reject streams of a huge amount of waste product.
Okay. Thank you. We also have some questions regarding the future for Renewcell. What is Renewcell's next step to commercialization, and what do you think about Renewcell in about 10 years, if you would like to describe?
I mean, as I mentioned, and as we have also said here today, our focus now is, of course, to scale up to our new big plant that we're building in Ortviken, which actually you can see here behind me, in Sundsvall, and that will have, of course, a great impact on what we could start to deliver in terms of volume. Our intentions is, of course, to grow even more, and we hope that we will be able to scale up and in the coming 5-10 years. So of course, that's our ambition, and grow from a couple of 10,000 tons to a couple of 100,000 tons in 10 years.
Okay. What is the competition in your field and the challenges in the future compared to other companies?
I mean, as I said, there are a lot of players trying to or recycling textile waste, and of course you could see them as competitors, but I wouldn't really want to look at it like that, since there is so much textile waste to take care of, and different types of textile waste, cotton-based, most of it is mainly synthetic fibers. So there are a lot of room for a lot of players, and sorry, what was the question again?
Yeah, it was this, and also the challenge for the future compared to others.
Yeah, but I think I mentioned it before in terms of I think it's very important to think big scale, because if there is a huge demand and we need to start deliver on that, and I think that's a challenge for all of the players within this industry. If you want to recycle textile waste, you need to think big scale.
I also have a specific question. When will the plant in Ortviken open and start production?
So it's currently being built, and the aim is to have it commissioned in the Q2 next year, and everything is so far going according to plan, which is great.
Good. And a technique question. To dissolve, what is the maximum temperature and what kind of energy are you using in the plant?
Our system is completely water-based, so we are not using any organic solvents in our system, and the maximum temperature, I can't really go into details and describe that, but and of course we are more or less and striving for using as much renewable resources as possible, and our current plant in Kristinehamn is more or less only run on renewable energy.
Yeah, thank you. Another question is, where do you get the textiles from? What do your cooperation companies are?
So there is a huge industry for sorting and collecting textiles already today. As you probably are well aware of, there is a huge market for secondhand in the secondhand fashion industry, and so we collaborate and buy our raw material from sorting and trading textile companies, both in Europe but also in Asia.
Will viscose also create microplastic fibers when it is washed? What do you think about this?
So microplastics is related to oil-based synthetics in that sense, that will not be able to dissolve completely and will still be small particles that you could find in the ocean or in water in general. But viscose is biodegradable. I mean, cellulose is 100% biodegradable, so you will not have the same issue in that sense with something that is biodegradable.
Thank you.
As long as, of course, it's 100% cellulose or cotton.
Good. Do you want to add something, Lisa Maria?
Wow, thank you. And thank you to the audience for all your questions. I mean, we're having these conversations for you guys. So we're happy you're posting them. And please continue doing so. I think you talked about it a little bit, Tahani, but the challenges are ahead of you right now. But is there anything there you would like to add in like the short term?
Well, I mean, as I said, our focus is on building our new plant in Ortviken. We are also very focused on securing and hire colleagues to this new plant, mainly production staff. And of course, on the commercial side, we need to keep up the pace. We need this new plant to start producing. We have there's a huge demand, as I said, and we have also very interesting collaborations, and we need to continue building on our collaborations with customers, both the direct and indirect ones that we have. And as you probably understand, there's a great need to do something in the fashion industry, and we really need to start doing it.
You mentioned recruitment. What's it like? Is it easy to find the skilled workers that you need, or is this an opportunity for you to make a little shout out? What's the situation like for an industry like yours?
We've been fortunate enough to being able to build our new plant in Sundsvall and the region, Västernorrland, because there are a lot of good, skilled people working in this region. So I think it hasn't been that tough to find good employers to work for us.
Great to hear.
But of course, we're always eager to find, new team members to join our team, and we are actively, of course, posting every time we have a new vacancy available within our company.
I think we have time for a couple of more questions, Inger. So what are they thinking about?
Yeah, we've got a lot of questions. One question is, what is the R&D challenge right now for your company?
It is, of course, to support the project in building this new plant and optimizing our process. The new plant will be upgrade compared to the process we have today in our small plant in Kristinehamn. So the R&D team together with the process development team is really focusing on making sure that we have an optimized process. And also, of course, looking further in how to be more innovative in terms of the process, but also applications in the future. So we have a lot of interesting activities going on at the moment.
Yeah, where is the R&D center located?
Well, currently we are located both in Kristinehamn, where we have a lab, but we also have a lab here, R&D lab in Stockholm. So currently both in Stockholm and Kristinehamn, and hopefully in the future also in Ortviken.
Will the future expansion be in Sundsvall, or do you plan for other plants also in other locations?
In order to make a real impact, we need to grow not only in Sweden, of course. Long-term perspectives, we hope, of course, to be located in other places. Also to make sure that we are situated where we also have the raw material. So it's of course important for us to have a presence in other parts of the world, not only Sweden.
Okay. Could you tell us a little bit about the logistic challenges regarding the raw material regarding the raw material?
Yes, so we of course want to make sure that we could source as much locally as possible, and that means Sweden and Northern Europe or Europe in general. But we are talking of quite big volumes, so we need also to source our material from Asia, but it's also really important, as I was talking about earlier, to make sure that everything we do is sustainable. So when we ship product to the rest of the world, we're also able to take back raw material to our new plant. So it's important for us to look at how we do it as sustainable as possible.
One last question from the audience. It's also a comment. I just like to read. To make this clear, this is not a viscose plant. It is a recycling plant. Purification plant can produce pulp sheets that can be used as raw materials for viscose production. Could you comment on this, Tahani?
Well, I think it was already commented. Yes, we are recycling textile waste to make the dissolving pulp, as I mentioned. And this dissolving pulp that we call circulose can be used to make viscose fibers. So our main customers are viscose producers. And as I mentioned, the great thing with our pulp is that it could be used as a drop-in directly within conventional viscose plants. So yes, we are selling a dissolving pulp, not viscose fibers.
Good. Thank you so much, Tahani, for answering all these questions. It's been great and very valuable for all of us. Just a very short answer, your dream, I know this must be really exciting working with this textile. What's your dream?
No, but I think it is that we really make an impact, that what we are doing will have a great impact on the future, and that we will create a circular system that actually help us tackle the circularity issue. So I think that's my dream within Renewcell.
Thank you so much, and thank you for joining us here. And I would say welcome to Sundsvall as well, to Renewcell. And we're looking forward to keep, paying attention to what will happen to Renewcell in the future as well.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Thank you.